Hey, what's good, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Happy Halloween, by the way. We're doing a special edition today for four spooky things about your retirement investing. I don't know. I ordered a Halloween costume, by the way. It's going to be here tomorrow. How does that work, right? So anyways, if you're watching this for the first time, I'm Dustin Tibbetts, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. We do this sort of laid back, we call it the Dough Show. It's just a laid back sort of overview of your personal finances, anything we could do to help you with your dough, help you get your dough straight. And just to make it sort of lighthearted and fun, no suit and ties around here, although we do take the retirement investing very seriously. We are SEC fiduciary registered investment advisors, and so we manage our own portfolios. I hope you'll check us out at Jazz Wealth if you need help with your retirement investments or just want to transfer an account from somewhere else. Well, today on Halloween, a special spooky stat. We're going to try to scare you a little bit, and that's really the goal. Now, you notice I don't do a lot of videos where I go, oh man, so-and-so sucks and you should transfer your account from them, because that's not great, right? Just because somebody does something that maybe I disagree with doesn't mean they're a bad company, and so I don't do sort of negative videos. I am also going to continue with that today. I will not be picking on individual companies, but we're going to pick on your dough a little bit. So we will get this started. We'll just walk through it. If you have any questions, you let me know. Seems like red's a good color for the whiteboard today. So number one, here we go. 4 spooky facts about your retirement investing, and then we'll get you on your way off to Halloween so you can do some trick-or-treating. Get me some candy if you would. I love candy, man. You know I'm going to be out there today. I mean, like, I'll put paint on my face or something. I'm going to get some candy. All right, here's the thing. If you start too late, there's not much I can do for you. So starting late is going to spook the living daylights out of you, and that's not really good if I just stop with that. So let's dive in and actually give you something worthwhile here. Let's use an example. We've got a 25-year-old, I'm going to draw this a little bigger, 25-year-old that wants to retire at 65 years old. If you got started retirement investing when you were 25 years old, awesome, right? Great job. You probably find you don't even have to try that hard as far as how much you put in. You can be aggressive. You're almost bulletproof in sort of market movements and what you can sort of sustain and how aggressive you can be. So good for you if you started when you're 25. Now here's the spooky part. If you are waiting, well, if you're 30 and you're trying to make it to 65, and you just got started, right? So 25-year-old's already up and running. If you wait until you're 30, you will need to invest $1,100 more a year to catch up with the 25-year-old. Okay, so obviously the longer you wait, you get the idea, the more money you have to put in to play catch up. All right, if you wait until you're 35 years old, here we go. What do you think? You go, oh, hey, Dustin, it's probably $2,200, right? Even amount of time, even amount of money. No, not at all. You now have to put $2,500 more a year into your account to keep up with the 25-year-old. So waiting even 5 years doesn't mean you just double up on what you have. That's compound interest working in your favor. Well, in this case, working against you, right? If you're 40, and you wait and you say, Dustin, oh man, nobody taught me this stuff. That's okay, it happens. I mean, I get calls all the time from people that go, I was never taught to do retirement investing. I happened to just search retirement investing on YouTube. I found your video and I've been watching you for days. Now I'm scared, right? So people go, I don't know what I need to do. You actually need to invest 50 to 50 more to keep up with the 25-year-old. So the spooky part about this is if you start late, you better have extra dough, right? Because you're just not going to be able to keep up. This 25-year-old, there's a great study out there where they show a 25-year-old can invest from 25 to 35 and then stop altogether and beat the person that starts investing at 35 all the way to 65. So it's a really cool thing. I've done it a whole bunch of times in these videos. The point being, number one, if you're going to start late for retirement, you better bring the dough, right? Because it's going to get out of hand really, really quick. So now that's just if you choose the same investments, by the way. When you're 40 years old, would you invest the same as a 25-year-old? So that what I just showed you was assuming we all have the same investments, the same returns. If you're at 40 years old, maybe you don't invest the same way. Maybe you do have time to be aggressive, but maybe you decide, I don't want to be aggressive. And so that means you'd have to come up with even more dough to keep it going, all right? So don't start late. If you're in your 20s, 30s, or whatever, know that every day that ticks by just means more money that you have to put in. Of course, that's what we're here for. I'll help you with it to get you all set up. We'll even help you figure out how much you need to invest so that you know you will hit your goal 100%. Okay, number 2, if you don't mix your accounts, you're going to be spooked when you get to retirement. So here's the deal. One type of account is great. Nobody's ever going to give you a hard time for starting with a 401k, starting with a Roth IRA, whatever it is. Nobody's going to pick on you for that. Great job. But one type of account may not be enough to get you there. See, what happens is if you start with a Roth IRA, you're limited to how much money you can put in. And so if you're 40 and you're just getting started, the Roth IRA won't be enough, right? You know you have to invest more, so you're going to need something else. The other part to that problem is if you have a 401k at work, very common, or whatever the 4 account happens to be, right? You know that all of that money is taxable in your 401k, assuming you just have that 401k. So if you spend your whole life dumping money into this account, it's all going to be taxable. Just assume a third of it is not going to be yours when you get to retirement. So one of the spooky mistakes here is when people don't mix their account types. Use a Roth at the same time. It could be a Roth IRA or it could be a Roth 401k, but you need that balance because over here you're going to end up paying 0 in tax, and this money does not get added onto your taxable income in retirement. That's huge. That's really huge, because especially this year, our retirees are getting a chance, we're working through them one by one to make sure they're getting the full advantage of these lower tax rates. If all you have is a 401k, I can't help you, right? You're pulling money out to live off of, and as you pull it out, the IRS goes, add that to your tax bill, right? There's nothing we can do. However, we've done this a couple weeks ago as well in our retirement section. If you pull out from a Roth IRA, there's no tax. It does not get added to your taxable income, and therefore maybe we could even convert some of this money at a 0% tax rate. Depends on how much you take out. But it means that if you take out money from here, what you take from here, you could pay a lot less tax than if you only had the 401k. So please, if you're just getting started, 25, 35, or you're playing catch up and you're in your 40s, we still need to mix accounts. Now, if it happens to be that you have a 401k and a Roth 401k, I want you to look at that first, okay? Don't call me. I would love to have your business, but don't work with me just yet. You want to work here and you want to work here. Start balancing that out. Put your contributions here. Let the company, if they have a match, most companies have a match, let them put their money in that part of it, and you've got a great combination there to work with, okay? Number 3, spooky fact about your retirement is a bank IRA. I'm going to keep harping on this, guys. It's just, the more I see something, the more I recognize there's an error in the way we're thinking, and I'm just going to keep picking on you until you realize to do it. I want every one of you right now, if you're watching this, if you have a IRA at your bank, now I'm not talking the big guys that are banks and they're also investment companies. I'm talking about your credit unions down the road, your small banks, even some of the larger banks that specialize in only banking. When a bank, what I want you to do is pull up your statement. If your IRA is there, I want you to pull it up and I want you to look at last year's performance. Take 5 minutes for me. You can even send me a screenshot if you'd like. Take 5 minutes, look at last year's performance, and I want you to realize the stock market returned, oh, that's an 8. That's a ghouly, ghostly kind of 8 there. But the stock market returned 18%. What did you get in your bank IRA? I want you to look at that for last year. I have been seeing all year long 1.49. I've been seeing 1.22. That was just this morning, actually. You see fractions of a percent of a gain in your bank IRA. You really can't continue that way. That's not beating inflation. Even if you agree with what the Fed's doing right now with inflation and you believe those numbers, you're not beating inflation. Now, it's not the bank's fault. I won't pick on the bank and say they're bad people. A bank wants you to know that when you put dollars in your checking account, that it is safe. A bank wants you to know that when you save in the savings account and then you show up one day to pull that money out, they want you to believe and feel that that money will be safely there, ready for you when you need it. If you open a bank IRA, the bank wants you to know that your money is safe in all market environments. They don't want to take much risk. And so they're not bad people. It's just their business model. It's how they have to approach these accounts, or many of them, how they have to approach it. So if you add in what it costs you to actually have that IRA, it's typically very little, by the way, but if you add that in there, oh no, you haven't made any money. So I want you to take a look at your bank IRA. Seriously, just, after all the kids they're done trick-or-treating tonight, pull up that statement. If you have an account at a bank, consider transferring it to us. We'll get you going, or at least look at your other options, okay? If it happens to be us, great, but I'm not going to do the whole sales pitch thing. Bank IRAs, I can't tell you how many people are just devastated because they've had it for 10 years and it hasn't grown at all. But yet the markets have seen one of the best rallies in all of history, and they didn't participate in any of it, and now they're like, great, what am I going to do now, right? That's 10 years gone. We can't go back and get those returns from 10 years. I can't promise that going forward, those are going to be there for you and make up what you missed out on the last 10 years. So time is king. Cash is not king, time is king. And if you don't use the time wisely, it's going to cost you a lot of cash because you're going to have to put in more and more and more money. It bugs me and sort of like frustrates me when I see that happens to people, because I just don't have a good answer. And I know, and it sounds like I'm saying, oh, switch to Jazz, we'll make it all better. We will, but it sounds like a sales pitch at that point, when in reality, I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Nobody teaches you that. Nobody tells you at the bank, hey, just so you know, we're not going to invest your money very aggressively. That'd be your first warning sign to go, but I'm 25 or I'm 30. I can afford to be aggressive. Explain a little further, right? They just don't do it. They go, welcome. Well, your money is safe with us, and since you open an IRA with us, we're going to give you premium checking services as well. Here is a little rubber stamp so you can stamp your checks for those people that still use checks, right? So careful on those bank IRAs. I had planned on spending a lot of time on that, but I think, you get the point. All right, the fourth thing that'll spook your retirement is inflation. Now, I don't care what inflation is. Right? Inflation's going to wiggle around. If you don't know what inflation is, right now we're at about 2%. Well, that's what the Fed's shooting for, is 2%, okay? So that's the value that you're losing out of your dollar, all right? And what happens is a lot of people will factor their retirement in a way where they go, I'd like to have $2 million when I retire. And I'll assume inflation means that it's going to have the buying power of $1.23 million or something. And in your head, you go, great, well, $1.23 million, that's still pretty good. I can make it. If you don't factor for inflation, or if you get that wrong, right? If inflation's higher than you expected, you're going to be spooked, right? Or devastated or shocked or all the scary stuff for today, right? So what I want you to do, right? This is really simple. We do this for every one of our customers so that we don't get down the road and say, oops, we miscalculated inflation. Sorry, right? You don't have as much money as we thought. We can't do that as a business, or people would not like us very much, and I want people to like us. So for inflation, I want you to factor it as you go. What does that mean? So rather than guess what inflation is going to be 20, 30 years from now, I want you to factor it in your deposits as you go year by year. You'll know what inflation is. Right now, if we're working with 2%, then you're going to raise your contributions by 2% next year. So for our customers, I say, hey, you're going to start with this much money. I don't know what it is. Let's say it's $3,248. So we worked it up for the customer to say, you want so many dollars in retirement, you have this much saved already, this is your age and when you want to retire. That means you need to invest this much in the first 12 months, and then I tell them, raise it by 3% next year. All right? And from that point forward, we're going to ask you to raise your contribution by whatever inflation is. If it's only 2.2%, I'll let you know, right? So congratulations. You don't have to save as much as you thought. You might want to save a little more, but you don't have to if the money's tight and you want to sort of scale back a little bit. So you're going to factor the inflation along the way. That way, when you get to retirement, your money has already figured that in. Now, a lot of people get glossy-eyed and they're like, well, wait a minute. So how much do I actually have when I retire? And what is that? Like, what's going on there? So we'll always help you with that. But if you factor the inflation along the way, then that's one less stat, that's one less variable in your retirement calculation you can't get wrong, right? Worst case, you overestimate, right? And so you get it just a little bit over. I'd rather have it over than under, right? Okay, so that's it. Number one, if you start late, we did the math for you there, you're gonna have to add a lot more money to play catch up to those that are younger. If you're already a little older, don't let it spook you. It just means you gotta get started. If you wait till tomorrow, you missed out on today. If you wait till Friday, you missed out on Wednesday and Thursday. So not to play the day-by-day game, but it lets you know that, hey, 5 years could go by really quickly. And I mean, honestly, I can't, like, the phone calls that I take from people, it's always like, hey, I'm 35, I know I'm a little bit behind, blah, 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 and you go, okay, yeah, you are a little bit behind. Doesn't mean you can't do it, it just means you're a little bit behind. You recognize that. We know there's a little catch-up to be had there. Number two, you gotta mix your investments, right? So if you don't mix your account types, 401k, Roth 401k, 401k, Roth IRA, taxable account, whatever it may be, if you don't mix them, then we really can't help you tax-wise. Remember the retirement plan, after we get everything set up and straight and you want to go save for your kids, now we're focused on taxes. So we went through that in our retirement week. Did a whole week, by the way, if you're watching for the first time, whole week just on your retirement plan. Okay, number three, if you have a bank IRA, I swear to you, take a moment, go pull up your bank IRA, look and see where your money's at. If you see one of the investments is like the, I don't know, like money market global worldwide fund, right? That's not good. If you see that it's in the FDIC insured global money market super duper savings fund, that's not good, right? It sounds great, but it's not good, I promise you. So careful there. And number four, account for inflation along the way so nobody gets shocked because, you know, we don't know, right? Don't guess. The less things you have to guess on in retirement, the better. So right now, I guarantee you there's somebody watching who's guessing how much money they got to put into their account. Why? Why would you guess, right? You don't guess how much you have to pay on a car payment if you have one. You don't guess how much you're going to put towards your house to pay it off 3 years early. You did the math, right? You guys are great at that. I always hear people say that. I did the math, and I'm going to pay my house off 7 years early. I'm going to get my dough straight, Dustin. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Great. Do the math on the retirement account, too. Don't guess how much you need for that, as well as don't guess on inflation while you're at it, all right? All right, cool. That's all I really have for you there. You just cashed your cash back into the account to buy the dip. Oh, you going for it. Nice. Cool. Yep, good. And you're going to get the maxed out, you're going to max out your Roth IRA by the end of 2018. That's one way to do it. Nice. You guys are killing it, man. The facts that, yeah, I tweeted about that, the statistics in the market. I want to include so much more of that because number one, that stat is a stat, right? So I can't get in trouble for providing a stat. I can get in trouble if I tell you what to buy and when to buy it. So the fact that I was able to actually provide a stat was great. We're going to talk about that on the closing beat today for sure because now it's happened yet again. So it's good. And now you know that going forward if it ever happens again. Hopefully it doesn't happen anytime soon. Cool. Yeah, checks are, there's one person actually that I have to write a check to. And my bank, like I'll do it through that where it's like a paper thing and they stopped doing that. My bank doesn't even want to do it anymore where they physically send a check. So my bank said, it's up to you, man. They gave me like 25 free checks and they said, if you're going to keep writing checks, here's a couple of them to get you started. And it's one person that I just can't get around. Like they don't want to go with anything technical, Venmo, like anything. I'm like, I'll pay the transfer fee. And that's unfortunate because, man, checks. Like one day our kids are going to be like, you used to write a number on a piece of paper and somebody honored that piece of paper. You go, yeah, that's how it worked. All right, that's all I got for you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at 5 o'clock to talk about this stock market, Going to finish up the month still down, right? We got a lot of stats to talk about actually for the stock market for the month of October, and we'll make that quick as well so you can get on with your Halloween. If I don't hear from you, see you later today. Hope you have a great Halloween. Be safe out there, and remember to keep a little candy for me. See ya.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.